The 6 to 7 Figure Show, episode 106. Let's hit it.
Broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun outside Phoenix, Arizona. This is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Tired of working so hard and having no time? Take your six-figure practice and turn it to a thriving seven-figure enterprise. And now, your host, author, speaker, mentor, and strategist, Frank Brea.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I'm your host, Frank Brea, and in today's episode, we are going to focus on digital marketing. But first, a quick message from our sponsor. This episode of the 6 to 7 Figure Show is brought to you by High Ticket Program. Has the income in your server's business plateaued? Are you struggling to reach the seven-figure mark in your business, but don't have the time or the know-how to do it? In the High Ticket Program Accelerator, we guide you through every step of growth and scale in a process we call LEAP. Imagine having a world-class project team guiding you and your team through each and every step of pain-free growth, all with the goal of becoming a seven-figure enterprise and moving away from painful, time-consuming business operations and client delivery. Get a taste of LEAP in your business by downloading our free high-ticket program core offer Black Book. It contains more than 60 pages of standard operating procedures for your business, including onboarding, customer service, graduation, financial management, and a lot more. You can get that for free by going to the show's homepage, 6to7.show. That is 6to7.show for your free Black Book. And I am absolutely pleased to be introducing today's guest. Bill McRea is a corporate executive that elected to start his own digital marketing business. Back in 2008, he launched a software and marketing business that netted him over $20 million since that time. Bill started with software and has moved into a service-oriented business, helping thousands of people make a real online income, providing service people what they really need. Bill's motto is, if you cannot explain it to your friends and family, what you do without grinning, don't do it. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Frank.
I love that. It's a little bit of a twist on the, if you can't explain it to your grandma, but this is like, if you can't do it with a straight face.
I have a lot of friends in this industry, and people approach me every day about their biz ops and their MLMs and stuff like that. And if I can't explain it to my wife or to my daughter or to the neighbor, well, it's got 15 tiers and it's that, and what are you selling? I don't know. I won't do it, basically. So
that's smart. That's smart.
I'm just a dumb accountant.
Yeah. Well, there's something about the simplicity and like straightforwardness of that test, I think, of service businesses. So what got you into digital marketing? What motivated that turn?
Well, it goes back a long way. I went to college in the 80s, and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so I was there when everything was happening. And I went to University of California, and two of my roommates were computer engineers, so I couldn't understand a word they said. So I learned how to program because I didn't need to talk to them, and I had a girlfriend. We all lived together. It was cool. And one day they took me down to the computer lab there in UC Davis, is where I went to school. And they said, check this out. We're going to send a message. It's called an electronic message to our friend at Berkeley. It was an email. Yeah. That was what was like the light switches going off. I was good at programming, and there were emails. I graduated from that company, and I went straight to work for an egg supply company in 1985 as their controller. By 2005, the company had gone from $3.5 million in revenue up to over $100 million in revenue. I ended up getting a 35% stake in the business, and we took it public in 1996. Wow. Ultimately cashed out of that. As I said earlier, I have an entrepreneurial bug, but in the mid-90s, when the internet was starting to smoke up and get hot, we were actually one of the first people in our industry that had websites where people could actually place orders. It was a wholesale agricultural business. Actually weird, but we were able to take orders. And it's part of why we were able to grow so fast, because we were always kind of cutting the edge in marketing. And even though I was an accounting and finance guy, I'm the sort of guy that can raise the money and start the business. The entrepreneurism is really my talent. and my passion. When I left that, when we just kind of said, whoa, cool. I wanted to go full-time, this was in 2001, online and start doing e-commerce. And you'll notice there's a few guitars on the wall. At one point, I had like 10,000 guitars because I started in 2001 an online guitar business selling e-commerce, which I took a lot of money and I invested in inventory. We called the business Guitar Warehouse. And we literally had a warehouse, and I had a stage and sound equipment, and we'd run live bands at our warehouse. And we built that business up. It was just nonstop work. And I finally came to the conclusion, you know what I want to do with this thing? I want to be the biggest pain in the butt to the biggest company in the industry. I want to drive the cost of advertising. See, this was even before AdWords. We were using Overture, and then turned into AdWords. I want to drive the cost of advertising so high that I can't make any money. And there was a reason why I wanted to do that, because I wanted them to come buy me. Guess what? In 2005, they swooped in the door and they wrote me a check for my revenue, which was nice. I love the business. I learned a ton. I actually was physically involved in building websites, setting up the e-commerce stores, setting up all the accounting and financing. So I had that great experience, and I learned how to generate traffic. Key thing was there. When I quit, I got a job as a chief financial officer for a company out of Stuttgart, Germany, and got involved in that in San Diego. And they had a headquarters in San Diego and one in Stuttgart, and started running that business at the same time. I was just really enjoyed the internet stuff. So I became an affiliate for Musicians Friends, who's the guys who bought my guitar business. And I started building blogs to advertise guitars. And next thing I know, at that time, it was really easy to do things like SEO. I was great at generating traffic. I didn't want to use pay-per-click traffic. I came up with these systems that I called triangle marketing techniques. So basically what it was is just copy and pasted the description of the product into a blog post. And because blogs drove traffic in those days and SEO was not a big deal, I was able to pick up more money through affiliate commissions than I was ever making as a product owner when I was doing the e-commerce. Wow. And in 2008, after I got through with that mess for the company in Germany, I said, I'm not working for anyone ever again, which was a lie. And I started, I said, I've got all these things that I do to generate affiliate income that work, but they're a lot of manual labor. And so I went to freelancer.com and I put in an ad, I need a program to write a program for a plugin. The thing worked amazingly well. It cost me like $72.
Wow.
Okay. And I said, hey, this is cool. Then there were basically two things I would always ask. Why is this happening, and how do I fix it? Okay?
Yeah.
Why and how? Those two simple questions got me in so much trouble. And I just left my CFO job, and I poured my heart into what a company called McRea, which has evolved into what we're doing now. And we started developing plugins for WordPress blogs and launched some really successful product launches. Now, we would spend $20,000 to develop the software and the website, and I'd hire high-end copywriters, and we did a product launch in 2010 called the Massive Passive Profits on ClickBank, and we did $9 million in sales.
Yeah.
The cost was like 20 grand, and so I'm like, this is fun. So then I created a blog building program called Above the Matrix, which was basically would allow people to build a blog, automate them, completely set them up to sell, and then they can go sell them at Flippa. And we did the same sort of thing. So this is really fun, but it was a lot of work too. And my copy and writer and I, we were wealthy again. with both of us now.
Yeah.
And we started to get lazy. We came out with the product in 2014. And then, went through this divorce and started dating my now wife, and I got in a bad car accident. And I kind of decided I didn't want to do the product launch stuff anymore. And I set up a lead generation business, which is what I do to this day. Now, I made about $950,000 selling solo ads last year, just solo ads, personally. Then I have a wholesale business that sells about 4.5 million clicks a year too.
Oh.
We invested $250,000 into building an email autoresponder that's basically just mine, that we use for processing leads. I buy leads in bulk. I don't go out and buy solo ads and build my list. And then I resell traffic to people so that they can go out and make money selling solo ads with no risk. They don't have to worry about their autoresponder. They don't have to worry about investing, $1.50 for a lead. They just go sell the existing traffic that we manage for them, and they can make money. So that's kind of what took me from, electronic email in 1983 to almost 40 years later. Not everyone knows how much volume I do. Probably they'll find out now. I'm one of the bigger, I sell on Udemy a little bit, but mostly I know so many people, Frank. These people come to me with their product launches and I set up traffic for them.
Yeah.
And I don't judge my customers. One piece of advice: if you are, you can be the gold miner, right? The guy who's out picking for gold, or you can be the guy that sells them the pick. You may make more money if you strike gold.
Yeah.
But 1 in 10,000 struck gold.
Right.
Everyone that sold the pick and axe made money.
That's true.
But that's the purpose of what the business I am now. I don't have to create anything. All I have to do is manage the technology. And quite frankly, it's done by a bunch of people here in San Antonio that I hired to do it for me. So I'm out working another job too.
Yeah. Well, that's there's a common thread, it sounds like, through the stuff that you've been working on, because even though this isn't software per se, I mean, you're still fundamentally operating a platform. And so from that perspective, there's this leveraged model that you would have in a software company as well.
Yeah, it really is. We created the software. I mean, if you're doing a self-hosted email program, they don't work. Very, very, very few people can do that. Our deliverability is on par with an Aweber or GetResponse, and all these big autoresponders. I don't sell an autoresponder service because I don't want to. I can sell the clicks myself.
Sure.
And really, our system is designed to bring in, everybody's probably on one of my lists. They don't know it. They're getting email. And call me a spammer, if you will. I suppose I am, although all the leads we have permission for. The guy doesn't know he gave us permission because he signed up somewhere with somebody.
Right.
There's a privacy agreement that says that we have the right to share your information.
Right.
So they still consider you a spammer, but I mean, that's not a problem to manage if you have the technical side. And that's where the programming and engineering and having a lot of friends. And I live in San Antonio. There's a bunch of autoresponder companies around here.
Yeah. And
it's not unusual to get together and talk and be able to share ideas and,
sure,
partner with them. There's companies like Mailgun. There's partners like the cloud hosting company here, what they call Rackspace.
Oh yeah, Rackspace.
There's a lot of technology between here and Austin, so we're able to kind of rob and steal and have good talent, because I ain't that talented.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that stands out to me about your background that I think is worth calling out is the accounting, finance, structure, strategy piece. A lot of people get into entrepreneurship, they really dismiss that stuff. They think it's all about really good copy or really good, some like really good idea. But there is something to be said about having the right business model that cash flows and performs. And, you really do need to have someone thinking about that stuff when you put your business model together.
I think that's why I've always made money. It is a business to me, and accounting and finance are just as important to an internet business as anything else.
Sure.
Okay. I got a good friend, Gary Kramer, who now lives in Bali. He's making $20,000 a day on Facebook ads. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's got an accountant. He's got a bookkeeper. And he lives in Bali.
Probably did long before 25,000 a day had to happen.
Yeah, actually, because I think his girlfriend is that person.
Okay. Yeah.
It is an important component. The thing that I didn't do is go, and I see this in the solo ad industry, which is really what I service. Somebody will go to Udemy, they'll get an order, they make $40, they take the money out, and they go buy beer with it. Well, that's fine. I mean, you really should plan on only taking out maybe 15% of your profits, right, and reinvest everything else.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's not enough money. Well, you know, between my wholesale and resale, I've got a multi-million-dollar solo ad business, and I'm making a lot of money on it. So because I'm reinvesting, if something goes wrong, and believe me, it does all the time, you know, we have to constantly buy in new SMTP servers, new routers. We're constantly building new platforms to keep the whole system rolling. There's times when we can't deliver because technical problems. We switched to cloud-based hosting with Rackspace last year, and that even has problems.
Sure.
And boy, there's a bunch of technical problems for us. So, yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, they're all welcome to replicate what I've done, but they're not going to have the skills unless they happen to be a computer engineer.
Yeah, I mean, you've got an niche. Well, that was the other thing I was going to say, and most people don't care about this because it's kind of history, but the sort of 80s, late 80s, early 90s, those people who had accounting, finance, and computer background were like, you know, that was like the bomb, you know.
I lived in San Jose.
So
I
much
was
of that
right
at the time.
there in the middle of it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I mean, I remember, you know, beta testing Lotus 1-2-3, Photoshop, and then 1998 or 99 it was when we were taking Macalla public, and we were making pretty good money, and this company called Amazon was worth billions of dollars, and they were losing hundreds of millions. I'm like, well, God, Ed, who's the owner of the company, I said, our problem is we're not losing enough money. I was teasing him, but at the same time, I understood that there was a smart sucker involved in there, and if he got ahead of that space, and now he's even smarter because he's the mobile commerce, which is where we're going. Yeah. Is going to outstrip e-commerce. E-commerce is on the desk. Mobile commerce is on your phone.
Sure. It's
going to be a $3 billion industry, $3 trillion industry by 2025. And Amazon is going to be the leader of it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about Amazon that I don't think a lot of people, you kind of look back at it and it looks like, well, what a brilliant thing. But for those who were watching, as I was and you were during that time, man, he had patience. Like, you know, for someone who had this huge vision about where he wanted to go, he started with books. You know, and I'm sure he was chomping at the bit to get the big vision executed. But that also, I think, ties into one of the things that you were talking about. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs who, again, you know, they're making $40 on Udemy as you pull it all out. There's no patience to say, hey, this actually requires reinvestment. This isn't going to be just a rocket to the moon. It really does take some planning and some time. And there's just not a lot of discussion about that in the entrepreneurial community.
Well, you're absolutely right. And a lot of it is because so much of the marketing is all hype.
Sure.
And I do that too. I use pretty aggressive marketing. I'm not as aggressive as I used to be. I'm like, hey, you know, this is what it is. Because I don't have to be for one, but it's like you're going to be a millionaire in 60 seconds. I always tease people at Udemy because I sell to people who sell at Udemy.
Yeah, right.
And the guy goes, somebody complained. I said, yeah, he bought 50 clicks and he's not a millionaire yet. It just does not work that way.
Right, exactly.
And it takes, and in all honesty, the digital marketing stuff, even the Bitcoin, I've got a bunch of Bitcoin, but I mean, it created a bubble of opportunities for scammers to come in and create fake biz ops. And,
right.
Everybody bought into that junk. And I'm like,
Well, it's not like this stuff hasn't been around a while. I mean, a lot of people think that, the entrepreneurial sort of bubble in the last 10, 15 years or so was created more sort of opportunity for scams and stuff like that. But look, like there were snake oil salesmen in the 1800s, not like, the opportunity for scamming around hype hasn't been around for a little while. It's just that, now we have an electronic ability to reach out sort of further than we did before.
well, yeah, I mean, obviously back in 1983, I didn't realize that I'd be operating a worldwide enterprise
Right.
from this office in my house.
Right.
And I got employees all over the place. Skype is how we communicate.
Yeah.
And I still go to a regular job because I love working.
Yeah.
And one thing about us baby boomers, which, I'm 58 years old, so I'm just at the edge of that baby boomer thing, is we do love to work. My wife goes, I tried to retire, in 2015, 2016, when we moved here, I was 54 years old. And I said, I'm just not going to work anymore. Are you kidding? I'm not,
It didn't take.
I was dunking around. I started building the email marketing business at that time.
Yeah.
And even that because what you do, if you're smart, is I told you always ask how and why, right?
Yeah.
How do I do this faster, easier, quicker? Why does that have to be so difficult? And I'm a finance guy, right? So I'm always looking at how do we streamline our costs.
Right.
So I outsource to great people. And there are people here in this area. And I have employees in India and the Philippines. And it's all outsourced. They're paid, by my accountants.
Sure.
That's
smart.
So an organization like me in this office is running a multi-million-dollar business with one person.
Yeah.
But there's really 11 of us when you consider all these other people doing things. And there is overhead involved, and it takes planning, and it takes budgeting, and it takes patience. I'll never be as big as Amazon. I don't even want to be that,
That seems like a whole different ball of wax. But
that's a different level of greed. I'm not that prideful, you know what I mean? I just thank God that I have the skills that I have, and that's what I want to do. It's not hard for people to take that step and get involved in doing something that could bring in enough money every month to make their house payment, to make their car payment, or to be retired and have some extra money they can save up and go on a vacation with, whatever. It isn't hard to do that unless they make it hard on themselves. And the other thing is, and the thing that really irritates me the most is a lot of people offering these $2,000, $3,000 coaching programs for nothing. Now, if you're in the business of doing that, I apologize because I don't mean that. I'm talking about the business I do. I see people at the Warrior Firm offering programs similar to what I do for $100 that don't do as well. Because these guys get frustrated. They come to me and say, Bill, can you help me? I go, yeah. What's it going to cost? You buy the website for $100 and the coaching's free. What? I said, yeah, but you got to buy your traffic from me. Guess what I'm really into it for? To sell the picks and acts, right?
Well, yeah, it's the system. It's the platform. Yeah, it's the platform. Yeah.
So I'm willing to do it for little or nothing. It's just, it's all positioning.
Sure, completely. Yeah. I want to ask you, you've got a thread through a lot of the work that you've done, which goes back to essentially to traffic generation, lead generation. You've had businesses where, early stage World Wide Web, in the mid to late 90s, all the way through, fairly sophisticated lead generation. And now you're dealing with these tech issues around deliverability. As things have changed all the way through the process, how have you kind of kept a step ahead? Because, the tactics that worked 10 years ago don't work anymore. And it feels like it's a bit of a cat and mouse game, right? Between providers and folks who are doing this. So how has that process been for you to kind of keep a step ahead of the game?
It's a very good question, first of all, because as you get older, scratch. It's not as easy to be young and innovative on top, and you get tired, and you have money, so you don't care necessarily. How I still do it today is for about 7 years, I was a very prolific speaker on the business opportunity live event thing. Mm-hmm. I spoke with people like Matt Basak and all, the crowd. I never wanted the limelight like those guys relish and live in. But I knew Frank Kern and Jason Moffat and all those guys. Andy passed away this year. It was going to those events really helped keep the mind sharp. You go and you leave your credit cards at home, though, because guys like me are really good at talking you out of your money. They're a lot better than I am. That's one thing. The other thing is I still, I go to the Warrior Forum every day and I just look around, and there's so much pathetic that it makes me sick, but you pick up a little piece here, a little piece there. I watch YouTube videos. I read Search Engine World. There's a number of different websites and blogs that I follow. And I'm really good because I'm an accountant. I'm skeptical of everything. So I've gotten very good at kind of separating the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
And because my copywriter is a guy by the name of Mike Williams, he's extraordinary. And he now works for television companies and stuff. When we did the first few launches together, we made so much money. The guy's extraordinary. And I'm like, man, I cannot lie like you do, dude. He's an Orthodox Jewish. I didn't think you guys were allowed to lie. He says, no, we just go, kill a goat and everything's fine afterwards. So, okay, well, he says, you're not lying, you're just coloring. I'm like, okay. Well. So you got to be skeptical of that stuff. So when you're out there educating yourself, use your, it's like not getting caught in a fishing trap. Another thing I did that was really very smart, it was extraordinarily expensive, but I did it after the Emancipated Profits launch. I had money, I needed to get rid of it for tax purposes. I became a mentor. I hired a mentor by the name of Frank Kern. And he lived in Ohio, I lived in San Diego, and I worked with him. And I spent, I think, about $100,000 over the course of a couple of years in coaching with him. It made so much difference. The guy's extraordinary.
Yeah, he is. And I have a lot of respect for Frank. He's
also shy, which you wouldn't believe. And even, I haven't even talked to him since about 2014, because it's like, I'm not one of those guys I'm not a clinger on.
Yeah.
I tell him, I like you, but I won't learn from you. I don't want to be your best friend. He doesn't want people to be Klingons either. He wants to teach people. And the personality you see from him online is completely different than what he's like in real life, which I thought was great, because mine is too. I'm way more quieter and more reserved and more into clicking the mouse and doing spreadsheets when I'm not talking to people. So I invested into myself.
Yeah.
Both through the live events, through the high-end coaching, mentoring with real successful people.
Yeah. That's
kind of the key, is when you model yourself after the best in the industry, you're going to get better. And he taught me, the launch secrets and how to be able to separate bullshit from reality. Yeah. Excuse my language, but
that's all right. We'll mark the episode as explicit. We're all good, Bill.
Yeah.
No, that's such good advice. I mean, from from the CEO perspective, I mean, if you're sitting in the CEO seat, and a lot of people who are listening to this are trying to figure out how they transform themselves from service provider to CEO, you've outlined a number of different things that I think a lot of people don't think about as the classic CEO thing. It's the research, it's the reading, it's the keeping up on the latest and the strategy, it's the investing in yourself and getting mentored and becoming better. It's not all the ticky-tacky stuff, the delivery, the tactics. It is trying to stay at that level. I think that's just great advice.
That's true. I mean, the thing is you can hire people fairly cheaply to do the.
Sure.
I like doing it, but other people, they ought to focus on the business. As a consultant, I do big things. Like I'm working with Pratt & Whitney right now. Can't tell you on what, but you ever fly in a plane? The F-15, all the jet engines, you've got to be able to organize your thoughts, go into it with kind of a doubtful mindset. And I did the how and why thing. I mean, it really was easy because once I got the how and why down, my entrepreneurial mindset makes me tenacious.
Yeah.
So I keep digging and keep asking. I never alienate anybody in the process. But most people, small businesses, typically you get a guy that's good at something, he starts making money and suddenly has a company. They're not good at running the business. They're not good at the business of the business.
Yeah.
And if you can be good at the business of the business, you can put the product and the services around it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice. Bill, this has been terrific. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I'd love to continue the dialogue. You've got a lot of great experience to share. But thanks so much for sharing the time with us. I know you're super busy, so thanks for carving out time for us.
No problem.
Last question before we go. People want to connect with you, learn a little bit more about what you do. What's a great place for them to go?
They can go to I'm available on Facebook for sure. BILLMCREA. I have a Facebook page there. Or they can go to LinkedIn. I'm there as Bill McRea as well. If they want to check out one of my websites to see what I offer, I have a service where we actually build people's solo ad business for them and start making money. They can go to soloadbusiness.org and they can see that is very, very inexpensive. I teach people how to do the business because I want to be their supplier.
Great. Excellent. Well, we've got those links in the show notes and beneath the video. So if you're out and about listening, come on back to the show notes page and click on through to connect with Bill. Bill, thanks so much for being with us. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for being with us on the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I've been your host, Frank Brea. Just a quick reminder about the free high-ticket program, Core Offer Black Book. Contains more than 60 pages, standard operating procedures on how to run your coaching, consulting, or expert-based service business. You can download that for free at the show's homepage, 6to7.show. That's 6to7.show for your free Black Book. See you on the next episode of the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Bye-bye.